Postpartum women represent a high-risk group of frequent visitors to the emergency department. Gaps in postpartum care may lead to non-urgent, primary care appropriate conditions turning into urgent issues that require an emergency department visit. While the frequency and factors associated with emergency department visits in the postpartum period have been studied extensively in the US, there are a lack of studies examining this topic in a Canadian population. This context is important as studies from the US cannot necessarily be generalized to other industrialized nations, especially those with publicly funded hospital and physician care, such as Canada. The objective of the present study was to evaluate the frequency and characteristics of emergency department visits during the postpartum period and identify socioeconomic, patient, and system-level factors associated with these visits. We conducted a population-based retrospective cohort study of all pregnancies in Alberta resulting in a live delivery between 2011 and 2017 and with constant registration with the provincial healthcare system during the prenatal period. Deterministic linkage was conducted on individual level data from 5 health databases. We calculated age-standardized emergency department visit rates during the postpartum period and negative binomial regression models which were adjusted for multiple pregnancies per woman during the study period using random effects for modeling intra-cluster correlation. Figure 1 shows that a total of 255,929 pregnancies from 193,965 women were included in our analysis. This resulted in 171,995 emergency department visits during the study period. 44.7% of postpartum periods had one or more emergency department visit, leading to a total emergency department visit rate of 70.8 visits per 100 postpartum periods. 29.7% of visits occurred within 6 weeks after delivery, and 17.7% of emergency department visits were for obstetric reasons, while 82.3% were for non-obstetric reasons. 9.4% of visits were assigned a triage level of resuscitation or emergent, while the majority of visits were assigned a triage level of urgent or less urgent. Only 13.6% of visits were assigned a triage level of non-urgent. Figure 3 shows the adjusted rate ratios of factors associated with having an emergency department visit in the postpartum period. A combination of socio-demographic, patient, and health system factors were associated with the rate of emergency department visits. Importantly, maternal age under 20, remote or rural area of residence, multi-parity greater than 4, and physical and mental health comorbidities had the largest association with having an emergency department visit. In conclusion, we found that 45% of women had an emergency department visit in the postpartum period. Increased emergency department visits were associated with a combination of factors, and although remote and rural area of residence were associated with increased emergency department visits, this may be due to the overlap of physician roles in remote and rural settings. In a publicly funded hospital and physician care environment, numerous factors contribute to emergency department visits in the postpartum period, which are similar to areas without universal health care. However, material deprivation was not a strong predictor of emergency department visits in the postpartum in this population. We would like to thank the Lois Hole Hospital for Women, Women and Children's Health Research Institute, and Canadian Institutes of Health Research for making this work possible. Thank you.